Wow, Beekley, I'm amazed you found all these old home movies.
Derek, watch a home movies.
Well, yeah, me and my siblings used to put these videos together and give them out to my parents as Christmas gifts every year. I think we did that, 5 years straight?
Well, here is next movie.
Alright. Oh, actually, this isn't one of mine, Beekley. This is a shot-on-video movie from the 80s.
Oh, well, it's still a movie.
Well, basically, yeah, but I didn't make it.
Well, let's watch. It's called Attack of Killer Refrigerator. And if there is refrigerator, there is food.
Okay, we can do that.
Food?
Of course. But before we get into any of that, Beekley, hey y'all, I'm Derek, and welcome back to Bad Movie Fry Night.
Okay.
And tonight, we're going to be covering a genre that you sort of have to talk about when talking about bad movies. Shot on video. Shot-on-video films really came about in the 80s at the conflagration of 2 points in history. First, the availability of video recording equipment to the public, and secondly, the advent of the neighborhood video store. Now, I'm not saying that people didn't make films in their basements beforehand, but before the 80s, most people would keep them on the reel-to-reels at home and only show them at parties to their friends. With video stores popping up all over the country, people were able to actually distribute their films without the cost of renting out a theater. Many times, simply sending the films to video distributors to be sent to stores around the country. However, with the collapse of rental stores, the genre was soon lost, only to be resurrected partially as the found footage genre of Hollywood. So the movie we're watching tonight is called Attack of the Killer Refrigerator. Honestly, I got this movie as a DVD rip at a con, and I bought it solely on the fact that it was called Attack of the Killer Refrigerator. I mean, how can you do a show like this and not do a movie called Attack of the Killer Refrigerator? After doing some research, I found that it was filmed in Massachusetts, so that gave me the idea to do a variation on a recipe that a friend of mine from Massachusetts used to do all the time: beer braised ham sliders. First thing I'm going to do is take a small ham, and I'm just going to score the surface of it. This is going to help our braising liquid enter the meat. So let's get started. Our movie starts off with the best credits Miss Hinton's 5th grade class could draw. And then we're at a party, where the topic of discussion is the refrigerator, and apparently how it hates them after being defrosted with a hammer.
There we go! We made a break! Save the potato puffs!
And this scene goes on for 3 minutes. It wouldn't be so bad if we could see what everybody was doing, the camera would stay still, and everybody would stop talking over everybody else. But what do I know? I'm just a guy with a YouTube show. Well, let's get on with this ham, shall we? So in this pot, I've put our ham, and to that, I'm going to add 2 bottles of beer. I'm using an ale here, but feel free to use whatever you'd like. And in addition, I'm going to add 1 heaping teaspoon of spicy mustard, salt, pepper, and about 2 stalks worth of rosemary. So we're just going to bring this up to a boil, and after it does, we're going to lower it to a simmer and then put a cover on it, and then let it just cook until it's nice and soft. So, after all that defrosting action, we move into a room where a woman is lying in bed and a man is shaving, and the musical score tells us they're about to get to business. At the same time, a girl goes to get something out of the fridge when the fridge bites back. Then a guy, her boyfriend I expect, comes to see why she's screaming. Oh my god, it's like a Mobius strip of bad special effects. And then the other guy, after being in the throes of the best love scene lukewarm affection can give, goes out for a smoke and quickly gets eaten. Well, another character calls on the phone, but when no one answers, she goes over, just in time to see the fridge attacking the final partygoer. And the solution to the problem? Unplugging the fridge. Oh, the movie's already done? The sandwiches aren't finished yet.
You're okay, Derek. There's another movie on here.
They made another one?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, good. So all I'm going to do right now is shred the meat that we just braised. So let's get started with this new movie. Okay, so this other movie is called The Hook of Woodland Heights, and starts with a guy driving through the town to pick up his totally 80s girlfriend, and then cut to a mental institution where all the inmates are allowed to run free. Phew. Talk about whiplash. And we're introduced to three orderlies.
He couldn't bear to see his mother's head flying up like that.
Look, you sure you need me for this? Because, see, it's my first day.
Come on, what are you? Let's go.
Yes, everyone talk over each other. It doesn't matter what we say, only that we say it. And then they go off to move an inmate from high security. That turns out well. So, our totally tubular teens have pulled up to a cabin, and the boy scares the girl with a knife, which leads them to prancing around playfully with the best high school blocking they could remember from drama club. Meanwhile, the killer goes up to a house where a family is cooking dinner, and finds a grill fork that the father dropped on the ground. He uses it to stab the dog, and then run off into the woods, where he jabs it into a stump where his right hand is supposed to be. I literally have no words. None. Oh wait, now back to our radical teens making out in the cabin, where they decide to move back to the car, where they hear a news report about the escaped killer.
Is that Mason Crane has the identifiable characteristic, he has no right hand.
Wait a minute. This is the guy with the hook story. You know, the old urban legend. Well, if it works for you. Anyways, to round off our sandwiches, I'm making a very easy mustard sauce. So in this pan, I've melted a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of hot mustard together, and then I'm going to make a roux by adding a tablespoon of flour. Now that that's all incorporated, I'm going to slowly add up to a cup of half and half. And we're just going to add it slowly until we get the consistency that we want. We want it to be thick, so be careful of adding too much. Okay, so cut to a bunch of kids playing kick the can in a graveyard. And that ends just about as well as you would expect in a movie called The Hook of Woodland Heights. And then back to the kids necking when there's... Not really called for, creep. And then Creepy McCreepster goes off to get killed. Well, the couple finally decides to leave, but the car battery is dead. So the guy goes off to a neighboring house to get a jump. Along the way, he finds the killer and starts fighting him like he's in Street Fighter 2. That ends well. Well, the movie's wrapping up, so let's wrap up our recipe. Right now, I'm just frying some fries to go along with the sliders. Hot oil, golden brown, just like always. Now, the girl is just sitting in the car when the killer throws her dead boyfriend on the windshield. He breaks in, she gets out, and they start playing Ring Around a Rosie with the car. She gets away by hitting him with a baseball bat and then runs into the cabin, picking up the knife her boyfriend dropped. The killer circles the cabin several times, only to jump into a large open window about a minute after he starts circling. How did they not see that before? Well, the girl escapes the cabin, and the killer runs her back into town. Just as he overpowers her and is about to do away with her, a good Samaritan shoots the killer in the head. But then we find out it was all a story being told to Cub Scouts. Being told by the killer! Mwahahaha! And the movie's done, and so are our sliders. How you build them? Bottom bun, pork, mustard sauce, and a couple of pickles, top bun. Serve with fries and enjoy. So, final thoughts on the film? Well, let's start with Attack of the Killer Refrigerator. It's bad. The camera work is lazy and unfocused, everyone talks over everyone else, and the story is sparse. But on the flip side of that, there is actually a story that you can sort of follow. For a 15-minute short, it's kind of fun. As for The Hook of Woodland Heights, it's the better of the two. It's shot better, the story is more fleshed out, and they actually had a budget for special effects, albeit most of that was spent on stew meat at the local butcher's. Now, is it good? Well, it's a competent story with bad dialogue, so it does tug at my heartstrings. Still, it's not as bad as some of the shot-on-video films I've seen. And overall, it's just a silly little romp. Now, it is difficult to find many shot-on-video films from this era. But if you do come across one, pick it up. You might find it hilarious. So gather up your friends, make some good food, and have a really good time. Well, thanks for stopping by, thanks for tuning in, and come back later for some more Bad Movie Fry Night. Okay, Beekley, food's ready!
Yay, food!